Well, hello there. I am on day 5, and I pray that as we begin to go through this particular life lesson out of these 28 days, I pray that this one will truly bless you if you are a leader in particular, because what I'm talking about today is, I know you've heard this before, ministry first and family second. I don't think so. You know, I wanted to share my life lesson, what I had to learn about that, and I know I'm talking to somebody who is a pastor or someone who is a leader, and you find yourself just really being pulled on every end. And as I'm listening to this song in the background, as you can hear it now, you know, I felt that the ministry was what I ate, what I breathed, everything. I had such zeal, you know, I just wanted to make sure I pleased my daddy, and, you know, and that's a good thing. But we got to remember, we got to have balance. Every time I think about me saying to my husband when I was married at the time, you know, ministry is first, you know. I'm not going to let y'all get in the way of me serving my Lord, you know. And even when my husband wanted to spend time with me or make love or what have you, I know I'm talking to somebody. All you got in your hand is a Bible and a pen. And so just wanted to share how important it is we begin to look at those matters. When I hear this song in the background now, I think about, you know, how I used to go to the prisons. I mean, I was just everywhere, just traveling internationally, and this is one of the songs that I would always play because I felt that I was just so desperate. I was so hungry for the Lord. I just wanted to make sure that everything I gave pleased him. And he was pleased, but he was also not happy about the way I was trying to serve. You know, we got to look at, you know, the ministry is not going to come first. I want to say that because the church house is definitely not going to come first. And those church folks is not going to be first over your marriage and your family. And I know I'm talking to somebody, and I was just so desperate. I just wanted to do, you know, everything that I thought was right and what was good in the eyes of the Lord based on what he had called me to do. But as we begin to think back on those things, I mean, you know, I know it's any of you that may have come out of this already, you know, saying that your ministry is first and your family is second, then you can kind of know where I'm going at with this because, you know, it just, I don't know, it just was something about me wanting to do ministry and, you know, making my family second made me feel like I was really, I guess, very anointed or very holy driven, and it was really totally out of balance. And so we got to look at our priorities, number one. And let's look at 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8, and I'll read that in the NIV. It says, "But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." Now, what Paul was trying to do here in the midst of all this that he had been teaching him, one thing he wanted to make him see that as it relates to the church, as it relates to the call in his life, he needed to understand priority. You know, priorities as far as being a leader, we need to know that the very first thing that God instituted was family, was making sure that we understand how to handle family, because in every church is a family. We come and we build church through family. Let me turn this down. And so, I mean, every time I think about how so many leaders have become so desperate with trying to make sure that they take care of the ministry versus their family, it just blows me away. And as I think about my own life, how it just brought tears to my eyes, even when the Lord was, you know, prompting me to talk about this life lesson, you know, how I was always thinking that I need to do everything for the ministry first. But, you know, when we don't provide for our own home, you know, Paul was trying to show Timothy that if you don't provide for your own home, you know, you can't expect to be a great leader. You can't expect for anybody to even accept you having a great integrity or character as far as being a true leader. Because how can you try to lead me in something you're not even doing at home? You know, so these are some things that I learned, you know, me traveling and everything, and I'm going around laying hands on other people's children and going in prisons and casting out demons, and my kids got demons. I know I'm talking to somebody. And so we go back and look at 1 Timothy 5 and 8. We got to understand that leadership begins at home. I love the way, I think his name is, I always forget these people's names. It's so sad, these leaders' names, and I shouldn't, because they're just great, great warriors and great, great leaders of the gospel. John Maxwell is his name. He's an awesome teacher and author, and I just love his Bible. And one of those messages that I learned from talking about the law of priority, I love that message, how he talked about making sure that everything begins at home. And he gave like about 4 different particulars that we need to look at, and it really hit home with me as I began to talk to the Lord about this message. He says that leadership starts at home, of course, and if it doesn't work at home, he says, don't export it. I like that. He says, pastors especially must heed this warning. He says that leadership works best when it is prioritized as the following. And so I want to share these and share a little nugget about where I was in these. And then I pray that these life lessons will help you to make sure that you take this and don't just listen to what you hear me say. Maybe you need to pass this on if you are a PK, or you're a first lady or what have you. And then maybe you are a pastor, maybe you are a leader, that you need to hear this and take heed to what I'm sharing in my life lesson to you about having the ministry first versus your family being first. Really, we need to know that this is not real and God is not pleased with this. And so the third thing that he talked about in these prioritize, he said that number 1 is I am first a person, which means that I must prioritize my own relationship with God. So that means look at my integrity, look at where I am. What am I doing that makes me feel like I have to be so super spiritual that I'm doing everything outside the 4 walls of my own house and not taking care and not prioritizing what needs to take care of with your family, which is most importantly your wife, making sure that, or your spouse, let's put it that way, man or woman, that you all are pleased with making sure that things are prioritized at home first. I never in my life seen so many leaders, because I was there. We're running around doing everything for everybody. Leaders have literally died for overwork, trying to make sure that they look like a good pastor, a good leader, and they've just, overworked and doing everything that they possibly can, and these people don't really care. They're going home to their family. I can guarantee you stand at the church 24/7, they ain't going to stay. They're going on to their family. And so when you get to understand that part of it, then maybe you can begin to build your family and make your family a lot more stronger. Now, did that help me? Well, it did in some fashion. It helped a little bit for me to be there whenever, I was at home with my family when I really got an understanding about this matter. But did it make my marriage better? No, it didn't, because I was still needing to get counsel about a couple other things I hope I can hit in just a few minutes. And then number 2, the second thing he said is that I am a partner. That means that I must prioritize my relationship with my spouse. Well, it didn't get better. And like I said, because what I did is I was at home, but it was like I was not at home, because I still got that Bible and that tape recorder and that pen and pad in my hand, just doing stuff. And just because my body was there, I guess my spouse, I guess as far as I'm concerned, he should be happy that I'm there. At least I'm not running around doing revivals and stuff. Oh, no. I was at home, but I know I'm talking to somebody. It was like you say, your daddy was home or your mom was home, but they were not at home in your life. That's what we're talking about. It's just like you got a spouse at home and all he watching TV, but they ain't never looking at you. We need to understand that, or she watching TV, or on the phone texting, or on the computer. We need to understand that we are partners. We are one. And so especially if you are married, you got to prioritize these things. You need to make sure that your relationship with your spouse is priority. Don't just sit there and doing this and doing that and think, well, I'll be glad I'm here, but yet you still got that Bible packing in and ain't talking. We need to understand that God knows that your heart be concerning this matter, but he also knows that you need to make sure that your priorities in check as in relation to your mate. And then the third thing he said is that I am a parent. Oh, my God, how bad I was here. I pray this life lesson help you. He says I'm a parent. I must prioritize my relationship with my children. Well, mine was just horrible. All I did was I was just a sergeant at home. And Jezebel was on a rampage. I would tell my husband, you need to make sure this house is holy. You need to do this, you need to do that. And you need to, it's always what I'm thinking needs to be done. I just had the whip and everything else in the Bible, just busting everybody upside the head with the Bible. Every time you look up, that's not God, and this and that. And oh my God, it was from what they wore to their friendships, wherever they were going. And my poor babies, they left the house. They said they was out. My son, I think he left when he was like straight out of high school. He said, I'll sleep in my car if I stay in here with this empty longer. Bless his heart. And it did break my heart because I felt, that I was just trying to live a godly life. But I had no relationship with my children. I mean, I know I've talked to you all before about this closed door parenting. That's where I was. You know how they say your bedroom is your castle? Yeah, that was mine. I mean, I'll take my shower and get in the room and get my Bible and everything and lay it and spread it out like I'm single. My husband coming to bed and get ready to lay down and want to smooch up to me, and I'm like, what you doing? Don't move that. I'm trying to study. And, that's all he ever heard. I'm trying to study. And he turned TV up. I'm turning it down saying I can't think. My God. I know I'm talking to somebody. You want to do everything that you think is so holier than thou, and yet your children are going to hell in the handbasket because all you thinking about, I'm trying to study, close the door, be quiet, and, go on. What do you want now? But yet you calling yourself holier than thou, and they're going to go and try to tell somebody else how to run their house. Lord, I don't want to preach. But yet you have no relationship. You have not prioritized yourself with your family, your children. And I mean, I know my kids, and they often looked at me like, She always talking about the church, but yet she don't have no time for us. Everything's, I got a meeting, I got this, I got that. And it's something about the church. That's why a lot of PK kids don't not like the church. They don't even like nobody even talk about church. They don't want to talk about no leadership. They don't like church, period. Because number one, it's almost like they were a robber. You robbed me of my family. You robbed me of my love and my time with my parents. And then so you want me to hear about church? I'm not interested because the church took all of my family and all of my life from me. And this is so true, but we got to make sure that we look at these matters so they can get better. And then the fourth thing, finally, he said that I am a pastor. Now, some of you may not be a pastor. You may just be a leader of a ministry. But same thing, you are in leadership. He said that I'm a pastor. First of all, you must prioritize your relationship with your ministry call. Look at what you are doing. I just gave you too many examples already about the things that I was doing way off the track. Just too many things of thinking that I'm holier than thou and that's making me look real, real good. That's making me look like, I really, really care about the sheep. When actually I am walking in error. I am walking in deception. I am walking in just this big old Z on my forehead, zeal, and it ain't packing no power, to be honest, because what I am doing is just doing a whole bunch of works that are very fruitless. Now, I don't want to go on any longer with this here, but you got to understand that God is looking for us to be fruitful. And then the very air, as the song said early on, the very air that we breathe, God wants to breathe fresh anointing, fresh gifts, fresh oil into those who are really willing to prioritize, those who are willing to let Him show you what He wants you to do each day without you trying to make your own schedule, do your own thing, and get yourself in some prayer time with the Lord. And I can guarantee He'll say, I don't want you to do that no more. Stop doing that. Don't go over there. Why you laying down? You know your husband want to make love. Why you got that Bible in the bed? Move that paper. You want to do whatever you want to do. You don't want to hear God. This is the reason why we've got to take some time to pray and fast and watch and see what God is saying to us concerning our family, concerning our ministry. So is ministry first? Absolutely not. Is family first? You got it. And so we got to remember that if you build family, you're building church, because every family is a little church, and every church has family in it. Oh, God, I don't want to preach. And so, but I did just want to share this, this wherever you're feeling that's causing you to have this lack of fulfillment, wherever you're feeling that's making you feel like you're a failure if you don't do this or that, or you're feeling that, you're not packing any power because God is not with you unless you're doing these things, and, so people can make you feel like that you are really, really holy and anointed. I'm telling you right now, after we serve the Lord, and after God has called us, He's looking for this genuine satisfaction that can only come through His call, His way that He wants us to obey Him. Not our way, not the way we want to do it, not the when we want to do it. And the only way we're going to have this is to live in obedience to His will. And so if you are feeling that you are out of order because, you're serving your family and not running around letting the church be your God or your family, you're absolutely are out of order. You are not feeling the right thing. Family has to be first. And if family is first, then God is going to be first because God is going to rule. If you listen to God, then God is going to tell you, I want you to have the responsibility not to make sure that you do what you're supposed to do so that you can represent me. So that if you represent me, they're saying that because we're one, which makes a family, now you and your family is one. And so now I want you to treat your family as you would the church first. So that means your family is first. So if you're willing to recognize this, then your Heavenly Father will be happy with you, and then your mindset will be that I can only do what I can do that God shows me how to do, when to do it, and how to do a thing in the way He wants you to do it as it relates to your family. So you need to focus on that first. You need to make sure you obey God, and I thank God that I had the opportunity to share this with you today because this was one of the areas, that life lessons that I knew that I failed the test of many days. So I'm trying to warn you, is family first? You better know it is. Is ministry first? Absolutely not. Why? Because 1 Timothy 5:8 has already told us, if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially of those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Well, at least I gave you a little nugget there. I pray this helped you. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Be sure and pass this on to some pastor or PK kids so they can pray for their family and their pastors. God bless you.